Hey everyone, and welcome. Before we get started, if you want clear, no-nonsense analysis on the world's biggest flashpoints, make sure you're subscribed to the Global Warwatch network. Today, we're jumping into a major diplomatic showdown. On one side, you have President Donald Trump claiming a huge deal has been struck with Iran to hand over its enriched uranium. On the other side, Tehran is calling it a flat-out lie, insisting that giving up their nuclear material was never even on the table. So, what is actually going on here?
So, this is where it all kicks off. President Trump comes out and sounds incredibly optimistic, right? He says an agreement has been reached, he uses this phrase, nuclear dust, and paints this picture of a massive breakthrough. The message seems pretty clear, diplomacy is working, and a crisis has been averted. But then, almost instantly, you get a completely different story from the other side. And Iranian officials, well, they don't mince words. They call the president's claim false and baseless. They don't just say it's a misunderstanding, they go so far as to call it a lie. And that's the core of this whole standoff. You have two totally opposite realities being presented.
This really brings us to the most curious part of President Trump's statement. He's not just talking about uranium, he's specifically using this term nuclear dust. So what on earth is he actually talking about?
Yeah, okay, so first things first. Nuclear dust is not a scientific term. You're not going to find it in a physics textbook. It's a political phrase, and it seems like Trump himself came up with it. What he's referring to is the highly enriched uranium that's now buried deep underground under tons of concrete and rubble at the Iranian nuclear sites that were hit by military strikes. It's valuable, it's dangerous, and it's very, very hard to get to.
And we're not talking about a small amount here. The stockpile is estimated to be around 900 pounds, and it's enriched to 60% purity. Now, to put that in perspective, weapons grade is 90%. So it's dangerously close. This material is located at heavily fortified sites like Natanz and Isfahan, which are now, of course, heavily damaged. And this really gets to the heart of the whole conflict. Iran swears it's for peaceful energy, but the US and its allies look at it and see a ticking bomb.
So, how did we even get to this point? Well, it certainly didn't happen overnight. If you look back, negotiations kicked off about a year ago, but they fell apart pretty quickly. That failure led to Israeli strikes, which then escalated into a much bigger conflict with the US involved, the 2026 Iran war. That brought us to where we are now, a very fragile ceasefire and a new round of talks in Pakistan that just last week ended in a total stalemate.
And you can see exactly why they're deadlocked when you lay out what each side is demanding. These are their absolute red lines. The U.S. wants a complete stop to all enrichment, key sites dismantled, and, this is the big one, the entire stockpile shipped to America. For Iran, every single one of those is a non-starter. They see enrichment as their sovereign right, and they're not just demanding an end to sanctions, they want compensation for war damages. The gap between them isn't just big, it's a chasm.
You know, for Iran, this isn't just a political chess move. This quote from their foreign ministry really drives that home. They're saying their enriched uranium is as sacred as Iranian soil. They're basically equating handing it over to giving up their own territory. So when they say it's not going anywhere, they mean it. It's a matter of national pride.
And just to make all of this even more confusing, there are these swirling reports about money. Some sources claim a $20 billion sanctions relief package was dangled in exchange for the uranium. But then President Trump came out and flatly denied it, saying no money will exchange hands. So you're left wondering, what was actually offered, if anything? It just adds another layer of fog to the whole situation.
Okay, so all of this brings us to the really critical question. What happens now? Because this diplomatic mess isn't happening in a vacuum. It's playing out against the backdrop of a really fragile and volatile ceasefire, and the clock is ticking.
And the situation on the ground right now is incredibly tense. You've got a U.S. naval blockade squeezing all of Iran's ports. In response, Iran is threatening to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, a huge deal. That 2-week truce is just about to expire, and now Iran is hinting it might just skip the next round of talks altogether. And on top of all that, the U.S. Navy just seized an Iranian ship, which Iran is calling an act of piracy. It feels like any one of these things could reignite the whole conflict.
And just so we're all clear, when we talk about the Strait of Hormuz, its importance really can't be overstated. About one-fifth of the entire world's daily oil supply passes through that one narrow channel. So any disruption, let alone a complete closure, would send massive shockwaves through the global economy. It is one of the most critical choke points on the planet.
So we're basically left on a knife's edge. You have two completely opposite stories about a nuclear deal,
a ceasefire that's about to run out, and military forces posturing in a region the whole world depends on. It all boils down to this one huge question. With the talks at a standstill and the military pressure building, is the path forward going to be paved with diplomacy or with destruction?
Thanks for joining us for this breakdown. We'd really like to know what you think is going to happen next. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And for more clear analysis on these critical global events, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Global Warwatch Network. You can also join our community on social media. All the links for that are in the description below. We'll see you next time.